Awesome. Yeah. So let's kind of maybe move back now and talk about, okay, a student thinks they want to at least study entrepreneurship as a major or possibly a minor.
Yep.
And what is that going to actually look like? We've talked a lot about building skill sets. Now you're in college for 4 years. What is that going to look like studying entrepreneurship at the college level?
Well, I'll tell you what it looks like at Northwood, because that's what,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, at Northwood here, and this is, and the reason I like to talk about this is because this is something that we do that's unique. You start taking classes in your major. They like to tell you day 1 of your freshman year. Now I don't teach on Monday, so day 2, 8 a.m. of your freshman year, first week, you're going to start taking entrepreneurship classes, and you're going to take an entrepreneurship class in every semester. Because we think it's important. It's not, we don't think it's important to wait till your junior year to start taking the classes you're really interested in. We want you engaged. And don't get me wrong, the gen ed classes are very important. Your ability to write a letter, right? Whether it's texting, whether it's an email, people judge you based on how you do that. Gen ed classes are important, but your major classes are why you come to school. So you start taking them the first week, and they're building blocks, right? And each building block adds and adds and adds. Now, in entrepreneurship major, you can't be a wilting flower, right? Okay. It's just not a major for wilting flowers or people who want to wear a lab jacket and be in the back office. You got to be out front. No one sells you better than you. And so I'm big on getting students to get up in front of class and present. And that makes people nervous, right? And I love that. And here's why. Because I tell them, I say, you know what? If you fail here in class, it's okay. It's all right. Now, I don't want anybody to think, hey, Professor Hops wants me to fail. Professor Hops does not want you to fail. But what I want you to do is get over that hump. And getting over that hump, I want you to do it now, because down the road, when you're pitching for capital for your idea, I want you to have confidence. I want you to say, I can do this. I've done this in front of 20, 30, 50, 100 people. And now I'm going to do this to a few people. That's no problem. So in your freshman year, we have a business models class, second semester. And you take the project and you put together a written plan and you get up and present it. In your sophomore year, you're going to do a full marketing plan and you're going to get up and present it. In your senior year, you're going to do a full business plan and get up and present it. And here's the best part. I don't assign an idea or a concept to anybody. I assign the rubric, and the rubric says, here's what you're going to do. And it's going to be based on what? Your idea and your concept. And this gets my students engaged, because I'm not saying, hey, you know what? I want you to do something on Coca-Cola. That's a really cool company. And you're a Mountain Dew guy, a Pepsi guy. And you're like, yeah, fine. I'll do the project, right? Because he assigned it to me. If I say to you, I want you to build a business model canvas on your idea of what you would like to do. My idea. Yeah, your idea. You build this. What's your value proposition? Who's your customer segment? What channels are you going to use? And the students get so engaged, right? Instead of getting group projects, I rarely have group projects. Everybody wants to do their own. So I have these 6 projects due at the end of the semester, which is not great for me from a grading standpoint, but is awesome to sit and listen to these projects. And the ideas are phenomenal. Sometimes you pick an idea and you run it through the business model canvas, and you know what it tells you at the end? It's not viable. And it's still a great lesson, because now I ran it through the canvas. It's not viable. It might be later. It's not today. I'm going to move on to my next idea, right? And instead of wasting a lot of time and energy, right, I'm going to learn what's viable, what's not viable, and I'm going to get over. And I tell my students, I get up in front of people all the time, but I still get little nerves going sometimes. I start sweating a little bit, right? That never really goes away, but you need to get comfortable enough with it that people can't tell that you have. And so you're going to be taking classes all the way through. You're going to be building those blocks. In addition, we have a marketing class, an entrepreneurial finance class, a risk and capital acquisition class, a distribution channels class, right? Because we're trying to hit all the components. Because as an entrepreneurial business owner, and we have small business management, right? Because we want you to take your idea and actually run the business and be successful. And if you want to sell it and start something else, but we want you to be successful. So it's really a neat program. It's fun for me to teach because all the components are so different. And then I get to watch the student over the 4 years develop that one idea or sometimes multiple ideas. I just enjoy. I can't tell you how much I enjoy it because I get to see so many unique ideas from these students, and some of these ideas turn into real businesses, and that's, that's just fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that idea of that kind of that final project you do. Even if the student fails, I mean, that happens to entrepreneurs all the time. Businesses fail, and then
Yeah.
you move on to your next idea, right?
Yeah.
So you eventually find that idea. So you kind of teach that mindset too, where like, hey, you might fail, but keep moving. You're an entrepreneur. You solve problems.
It's probably the one major where I talk about failure as a positive, because if you haven't tried, how's it go? If you haven't failed, you haven't tried, right?
Yeah.
And so, if you look at many of the great entrepreneurs, they failed. They failed before they succeeded. And again, we're not teaching failure. We're teaching, in fact, I teach risk mitigation, right? Most people think entrepreneurship is all about risk taking. Yes, there's risk involved. It's really about risk mitigation. If I understand what the risks are, I can mitigate them, right? No entrepreneur I know runs and jumps off the cliff and says, I hope I'm successful, and then crashes into the rocks, right? Yeah. They know what's down there. They know what they have to do to be successful. And that's really what we're trying to teach.
Awesome. Great. So we've kind of focused in on kind of the skill sets that they're going to be building in the classroom as an entrepreneurship major or minor. Now, kind of outside of the classroom, we want to talk about, okay, what's going to set them up for success in the career field, whether they do start that business or maybe they start out on the entrepreneurship route. What can they do outside of the classroom to really kind of set themselves up for success?
Yeah, because we believe in the practical nature of what we're trying to teach, we provide a lot of opportunities. Number one, an entrepreneurship major is going to have to take an internship. They're going to have to do an internship. The internship, interestingly enough, can be almost anything in entrepreneurship. Because it's not a field, it's not an industry. I want them to have an experience where if they could sit side by side with an entrepreneur, that's great. But if they could go work for Dow Chemical Company right here in Midland, and they could learn a ton working within a division there. You might work for a great boss and see all these skill sets used and go, that's how I'm going to manage. Or you could work for the worst boss ever and go, I'm never going to be that way. And there's value there. We have the Bauer-Vick pitch competition every fall for the last 10 years. Bauer-Vick Foundation gives us $5,000, and top three split $5,000. And we'll have 15 to 17 students or student groups pitch their ideas or concept. And then they get to use that money to actually enhance that idea and move it forward. And we've seen a lot of that happen. In addition to that, Northwood has some rather unique opportunities on campus. We have the largest outdoor auto show in North America. About 50,000 people come to campus to look at over 500 vehicles. Sometimes includes helicopters and airplanes, but mostly cars. And you can become you can be on a team. You can become a team leader. You can become like an Asian market, European market leader. And here's the thing: it's completely student run. So how would you like to be a 20-year-old who calls up Cauley Ferrari and says, "Hey, can I get 2 or 3 Ferraris? Priced at around $300,000 a piece to show at this auto show run by students." That's a valuable experience. Who gets to make that call as a 20-year-old? And then it's so cool, and they drive them through campus. They're talking into their wrists. It looks like Secret Service walking next to these cars. But that's a skill set. They're building a skill set. The Stafford dinner, the fashion show in the spring, all provide opportunities for our students to take on leadership roles, which is, again, what is that all about? Building your resume, building your skill set, and putting yourself in a position to say, look what I've done. In fact, I'll give a quick shout out. The first ever chair of the auto show for this coming fall, non-automotive major, is an entrepreneurship major for this coming show. And Jack Gertley's his name. He's actually one of my success stories. Just graduated. He's the first non-automotive major. So he put himself in a position to be the leader of this huge outdoor auto show. And he's not even in that major program. That says a lot about that program, accepting him into that role. There's a ton about Jack and how Jack set himself up. He was part of the fashion show. He has just looked for all these opportunities to build his skill set, which in turn is allowing him to build his company because he already has a business. So I think there's so many opportunities. Oh, in addition to that, Entrepreneurship Society, which is a student-run organization where people get together and talk about starting businesses and the pitfalls and the successes. And they bring in speakers. And there's just an enormous number of student-run organizations that are all about building your network, building your skill set. So there's just so many opportunities. If you don't take advantage of the opportunities, it's your fault because they're out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of, so you talked about maybe some crossover with some different majors. So you talked about the automotive, you brought up the fashion show, which is kind of that fashion marketing and management, as well as the hospitality, right? With
Staff for dinner.
Yep. Are you seeing at all that students are, if they love entrepreneurship, but they maybe want to specialize in an area, is that something that you've seen students do?
Absolutely. I've had a number of hospitality students minor in entrepreneurship because they want to run a hotel or run a restaurant. And so that's the hospitality side, but they know they need to know how to run the business. I've had some automotive, not as many, some automotive aftermarket. I'll have some finance majors come over and take my finance class. So they'll kind of dip in and out, but then I'll have some go, that would be a great minor for me, right? Because at some point I want to run my own automotive aftermarket business and I need to learn that skill set. So a minor in entrepreneurship is a great fit. And then franchising management's another program that I happen to chair, and there's great crossover there because you're in business by yourself, but not, I'm sorry, for yourself, but not by yourself, right? In franchising, you have that franchisor. And so there's a lot of crossover and a lot of programs that really fit. And all my students, even who major in entrepreneurship, are looking for minors where they can specialize, right? I tend to send them to marketing or finance, or I listen to what their skill set is and what they want to accomplish. But I'm trying to get them to pick up things that I think will help them run the business.
Okay. Awesome. And I want to talk about maybe some other opportunities on campus, just briefly, because we're going to bring career services in to talk a little bit more about employability skills. But just briefly, what are you seeing for students who are really, really focused on building those employability skills? What types of things are they taking advantage of?
All of those big events that we talk about, right? Because again, it's student run. They have to develop this all by themselves, right? Without help. The Bowervic pitch, the different student organizations. To me, if you leave and the only thing you've added to your resume is graduated BBA, Northwood University 2020, shame on you, right? It should include all these things that you have the opportunity to do. And I think you really need to show a willingness to go outside of your comfort zone, right? Yeah. So again, Jack Gertley got on the fashion show e-board. Then he got on the automotive e-board, and he runs a landscaping company. And so you go, what does that have to do with your land? Well, he's creating a network of people. He's creating a skill set that will set him apart. And he is very creative, and he uses his creativity in those other positions to enhance his ability to run his own business. And then, of course, we do have career services, and career services have job postings, right? So if I'm looking for an internship, I go to the board and I can see who's posting that. Employers are going through career services and saying, we need somebody with this skill set, right? And it's interesting. A lot of times they'll come and say, we want somebody who thinks entrepreneurially, but maybe has this background, right? And so career services can help match those students up for internships or for jobs, post-graduation. And so we have a ton of opportunities for students. They just have to take advantage of it. And career services does a terrific job. We have a great, I think it's twice a year, they bring in all these companies who set booths up, right? I love these days because the students get their suits on and right, they're all dressed up and they're going through and they're just, right, they're dropping cards off and they're dropping resumes off and they're saying, what do you guys do? Is there a good fit for me? Right? Job fairs essentially are what they are. But these career fairs are vital because it's your chance to sell yourself, right? It's your chance to actually go and say, this is who I am. And of course, I love it because they get all dressed up, right? They're not wearing their shorts and flip-flops like they do to class, but they're really looking professional. And you're different when you wear a suit, right? I'm not wearing one today, but I feel different when I wear my suit because it puts you in that mindset. And so it's all about learning how to become a professional and acting like a professional. And that's a really important piece of it.
Great. Yeah, I think all of those examples are just great because, the students that are going to be watching this video are high school students who need to, as they're going into their senior year and they're applying to colleges, they need kind of a framework to be able to evaluate all of the different colleges that they're going to be applying to and like what's really going to be the best fit for them. And I think some of these examples that you've talked about are going to give those students great questions where they can go to their universities that they're applying to and really evaluate what type of product am I going to get?
Right.
Because I'm going to be handing over a lot of money for an education.
Absolutely.
I want to make sure I'm getting a high quality education that's going to set me up for a great employment opportunity. So I think I really appreciate all the things you've shared with us today, because I think that gives them a framework to help evaluate and compare different schools. So
yeah, the education and that piece of paper are really important, but the experiences, right, and the practical application are what will set you apart. I'll tell a quick story, and it's in a different major, but it's a great story if you don't mind me telling it, and I may tell it again if we do franchise management. But one of my franchise management students went to Domino's Pizza to interview for their leadership program. And he went through it and everything went well, and he's on his way out, and they said, do you have a few minutes? And he said, sure. He got a one-on-one 30-minute interview with the CEO of Domino's Pizza, Patrick Doyle. And you know why? Because on his resume, it said franchising management major. And we were the only school in North America that has it, right? How did he set himself apart? By that. I don't know how many people were interviewing for that leadership program, but he got a one-on-one interview with the CEO because he had something that set himself apart, and he had done some other stuff. But it was, that's to me is how you want to do that, right? How do you set yourself apart on paper and in person? And that's what it's all about.